Alright everyone, the other day Vanity Fair dared to release like a little video snippet of people saying, oh, these are like the top 6 things Hillary should do for New Year's, like hydrogen Hillary Clinton, warmonger, neoliberal in chief herself. Because basically she's old, she is, she's sick, she's been defeated now twice in presidential campaigns. That's basically the silver bullet to a political career, unless you want to go down and be like a local mayor or something. When these people, some of the people responding to this with outrage, they're like, oh, Hillary Clinton's resolution should be Clinton 2020 or something. Like next time she should win. Or they're like, she did win, she won the popular vote, repeal the Electoral College, Congress, ha ha ha. Crazy stuff like that. I'm sitting there laughing because people are getting all upset over the concept of Clinton being, basically called out as outdated, old, apparently incoherent and incapable of doing anything other than whining constantly. Like, I responded to it when I retweeted it and said that my idea for her New Year's resolution, it should be to stop whining about how everybody but herself is responsible for her election loss, because so far she's done little else for the last year. Basically, it's basic Russia and Nazis, evil white man, Bernie Sanders voters, women who weren't motivated enough, in the DNC. Insert other people here, everyone except for Hillary Clinton, that's who she has blamed. But they made a comment that was perceived of as sexist. Like, one of the people on there is like, oh, Clinton should take up knitting. What's sexist about that? Is it because you identify knitting with females? Whoops. I think indeed we know who has, like, maybe sexism obsession on their mind all the time. That's not a sexist comment. It's a suggestion that she's an old woman and needs to do something to occupy her time other than go after other people and constantly ramble about how evil and bad and despicable and racist and mean they are. Because that's all she's been doing. Ma Russia, ma white supremacists, ma irredeemables, ma deplorables. About the most stupid thing any presidential candidate has ever said, by the way. Oh yeah, fuck a quarter of the country's population. Screw them. They're evil and wicked. Or 20% or whatever. Some tens of millions of people. Screw them, says Hillary. Don't vote for me. Lol, that's a great... Yeah, lol. Pokemon go to the polls. Whoa, look at how cool I am. It's just so dumb. Vanity Fair, meanwhile, I mean, they've been critical of her before. It's not like Vanity Fair is exactly the most far-left publication that you could have. But I've never seen such an immediate and visceral response from people who have, like, they're obsessed with the concept of sexism, I guess. How could you possibly construe it as that way? If this were aimed at a male politician, they're like, oh, he should take up golfing, or he should take up bowling. It wouldn't be called sexist, it wouldn't be perceived of as wrong. Nobody would have jumped down their throats. They would have had a little chuckle, or maybe they don't find it funny, so they're like, yeah, whatever. And then they go to the next tweet, the next story on Vanity Fair, whatever they're looking at. That's how it happened. But because it's Hillary Clinton, strong, empowered, glass ceiling breaker of a woman. Oh, there are a million cracks in the glass ceiling now, but it hasn't broken yet. Bullcrap. No, you've actually made the glass ceiling thicker for women because the first viable mainline presidential candidate who happens to be female was an unlovable old witch who called a significant proportion of the country's entire population irredeemable. Yeah, that's going to become, I think, a problem. People are going to remember that for a little while, Hillary. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sure all the other strong, empowered females that actually have good ideas, decent personalities, they're charismatic, they're not riddled with cancerous scandals, they didn't, defend their rapist husband. All those women now, they probably won't get a chance to seek that office in a viable fashion. The Democratic Party will be reluctant to field another female candidate unless they're stellar. Which is probably a winning proposal, because then they're a stellar candidate. Well, good for them. But it's going to take a while to find someone who's, better than just okay. Most presidential candidates ultimately are okay. Trump, okay presidential candidate. Just better than Clinton's sub-mediocrity. Yeah, otherwise, if he was going up against a candidate, female or otherwise, who was a lot stronger, he would have lost. It's kind of the way that it works. It's pretty self-explanatory. If Obama had had to face off in 2012 against someone who wasn't Mitt Romney, he might not have been reelected. But Mitt Romney was so boring and crazy and apparently didn't know anything about the working class, so of course he never really had a chance. He couldn't go after the Rust Belt like Trump did. You got to get over yourselves, though. Not everything that you could possibly construe as sexism was ever meant to be or is sexist. You use like this objective argument. And the same people that tend to argue subjectivity on everything else, they use objective measures when it comes to either sexism or racism. To the point at which they objectively declare if something seems like it could possibly sort of be construed as either, then it definitely, objectively, definitively is. It's not the way that the real world works. It's just, that's pretty out there. And Vanity Fair, you don't have to be a fan of Vanity Fair. Like, I'm not even 100% sure what their publication typically covers. I always thought it was into like a fashion magazine or something. Honestly, I'm not even sure, but I definitely, I know of them a little bit more now because everyone got so upset at them because most sexist, she's a politician though. Once a person gets into politics, if they're seeking elected position or they're in an elected position, they should be treated differently and held to different standards from anyone else in the country. Absolutely. Because they're seeking an office where they're going to use taxpayer money to do things, using other people's money, other people's manpower. If they start a war, it's other people that fight. They don't go fight. So yeah, they should be held to a different standard. The fact that they're female, the fact that they have mammary glands that are larger than that of the average person with a Y chromosome shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. And if you criticize them in a way that would normally be considered marginally sexist, you shouldn't have a problem with that because they are first and foremost an elected official, or if they're not in an office, they're a politician seeking such a thing or speaking about such positions or have been in such positions. Totally different class of human beings, I think, in my opinion. That's about all. Peace out.